Hello, everyone. This is Marty Ettington, and this is podcast number 4. Today's book is Personal Freedom Parts 1 and 2. It's a science fiction book, really 2 books in one, about a man who leads the development of the first O'Neill space habitat, a large habitat in space, and also it turns into a spaceship in part 2 and goes to the nearest star. The unusual thing about this is he also learns the techniques of how to live a extraordinary long life of hundreds of years so that the people going to the nearest star in this habitat are still alive when they get there. It's full of all sorts of interesting information about how to build a space habitat and the people and the culture, the aliens they meet at the new star, and what happens from there. So I think you'd really enjoy this book. Next is a section from the book to give you a little more insight. And if you want to find this book or any others from our website, just take a look at MKEttingtonbooks.com. That's MKEttingtonbooks.com. You'll find this book under the science fiction menu on the site. Thank you. This book is about a journey, both psychologically to learning to live the longevity lifestyle, and physically in terms of living in a space habitat outside Earth, and then a trip in that habitat to the stars and all of its adventures. Here's a sample of the early construction of the habitat, which I hope you'll find interesting. Habitat Phase 1, getting started. So I ended up balancing 2 projects at the same time. Project 1 was to start building the habitat, but Project 2 was more difficult. Project 2 was about building the community who would populate the habitat and how they all became a team implementing the 10 principles in their lives in the first place. Okay, how did we start the habitat? First, it must be realized that we actually had to build 2 counter-rotating habitats linked together so they would not precess out of place. A fancy way of saying that we wanted 2 habitats rotations to balance each other out. The second thing was where to put the habitat. We decided to use the L5 or Lagrange 5 point, which was equidistantly balanced between the Earth and the Moon. Anything put into this point, or L4, would stay there. All we would need would be simple thrusters on the habitats to keep them in place permanently. And underneath this, we have a picture of the different L points between the Earth and the Moon, the Earth-Moon Lagrange points. So we assembled a team to build our L5 construction shacks along with tools. This meant about 20 launches from Earth to provide inflatable shelter, supplies, and initial tools. We also decided we needed about 50 people on site to get the initial construction done. Only 10 persons were tasked with maintaining our work space station. The rest were involved in checking assembly of our work tools. Let me explain. Most of the work was to be automated by using large numbers of 3D printers and space-adaptable robots. Our crew of 40 astronauts were really all about helping to assemble additional 3D printers after the parts were created on one printer, and about assembling and checking the construction robots. Some of the work also involved maintenance of both types of tools. The main habitats were to be 5 miles in diameter and 20 miles long each. This amounts to about 100 square miles of surface area in each habitat, or 200 square miles overall. Each habitat also had to have 3 feet thick of titanium and graphene-laced concrete to make walls and floors for the structures, and to keep people inside safe from cosmic rays or sunstorms. Speaking of graphene, where did we get it all? It is a highly manufactured product after all. Graphene was refined from deposits of graphite sent to us from the asteroid belt. The purification work was done at another manufacturing facility from the ores they received from the asteroid belt. We bought and purified graphene from one of our partners since it was already being purified in orbit, so it was easy to ship out to us. The amount of volume to create walls and end caps was huge. Way too much, you think? We didn't think so. Construction was on a geometrically growing scale because as the 3D printers and robots ramped up the building process, we would be going faster and faster. This also meant the materials we received from the asteroid belt and our smelting processes had to grow in step. Our computers worked out the growth plan. We just had to keep providing assembly and maintenance. Since each construction plate manufactured was to be 100 foot square, that meant we would need about 600,000 hub plates to be constructed. This really meant 3.6 million plates, since we needed 3 layers of each piece to get an overall thickness of 3 feet. Each layer as it came out of the 3D manufacturing would be 6 inches thick, so 6 layers at different angles for the habitat shell. If there were 10 robots welding 100 plates per day, it would take over 36,000 days or 99 years. If we had 100 robots, 3,600 days. We settled on 250 robots, or about 2,700 days, which equals 7 years. The build up to 250 robots and about 100 3D printers would take 2 years. But that meant the outer hulls of our habitats could be finished in about 7 years. So 7 years was in the... This is the end of our sample. Please read the book to learn more.